It's about that time of year where people share their hot takes about each and every single NFL team, who's going to make the playoffs and who won't. So in today's video, I'm going to be ranking every single NFL team based on how I predict they will finish in the 2025-2026 NFL season. You guys will see right here to the left of me, I have 5 different categories for every single NFL team, and it goes by Super Bowl contenders, playoff teams, teams that are just going to miss the playoffs, teams that are going to be mid, and teams that are just going to be flat out bad. So without wasting any time, I'm just going to be doing all of my Super Bowl contenders because I feel like if I just get these out of the way, it'll help you guys with the rest of the video. So the first team I see that as a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion, are the Baltimore Ravens. They're just a very well-rounded team. They're great from head to toe. Lamar Jackson at QB, they're always going to have a chance at winning the Super Bowl. The next team that I have in the Super Bowl contender tier are my Buffalo Bills. I mean, the Bills are Super Bowl contenders basically every single season with Josh Allen at QB. And I truly believe that our team is going to be better than it has been in previous years during this upcoming season because of our revamped defensive line, because of the new young guys in the secondary, and just, of course, because of the fact that we have Josh Allen at quarterback. The next team I see that is a Super Bowl contender is the Detroit Lions. They're a fantastic team. Once again, now they did lose both of their offensive and defensive coordinators, and Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. So we will see how they can adjust with 2 new coordinators on their staff. However, I believe that the Lions are such a talented team that they will be fine with whoever is running that offense and defense. With Jared Goff at QB, he's a perfect system QB for the Detroit Lions. They have Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver. They have Sam Laporta. They have a very good offensive line. A great defense led by Aiden Hutchinson, who's going to be coming back next season. I think the Lions are a dangerous team, and they're poised to be Super Bowl contenders once again. Following up the Lions are obviously the Kansas City Chiefs. Not much to be said about them. They're kind of the best dynasty in recent history. With Patrick Mahomes at QB, they're always going to have a chance. I mean, I think that this could be a year where the Chiefs take a step back. But if you bet against the Chiefs, what are you doing? So are the Chiefs in the Super Bowl contender tier. Next team I have in the Super Bowl contender tier are the Los Angeles Rams. And I know this might be a little bit crazy to you guys, but I really truly believe that Matthew Stafford is the caliber of QB where he can lead any team to a Super Bowl. And he has Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams as his top 2 receivers for this upcoming season. They did lose Cooper Kupp, but they replaced him with Devontae Adams, so it doesn't really matter. They have a solid offensive line, a solid defense. They have Jared Verse, who I expect to take a big step during this upcoming football season. So I think the Rams, maybe it's a hot take for having them in the Super Bowl contender tier, but I think they're going to be a very good team this year. I only have 2 teams left that I have in the Super Bowl contender tier, but the next one is obviously the Philadelphia Eagles. Not much to be said. They won the Super Bowl last year. I think they could have gotten even better during this offseason. So without a doubt, they're in the Super Bowl contender tier. And the last team I have in this tier are the Washington Commanders, led by Jaden Daniels. I think that team could be scary this upcoming year. Speaking of scary, Scary Terry, they better re-sign him. They kind of just have to. He's a focal point of that offense. And without him, I don't know how great the offense will run. I believe in Jaden Daniels to be great with whoever he has at wide receiver. But Terry McLaurin is just that kind of wide receiver where if you have him on the field, you're instantly a way better team. But if he is there, the Washington Commanders, in my opinion, are definitely Super Bowl contenders. And I just decided right now, we're just going to be going tier by tier from Super Bowl contenders. Now we're going to go into the playoff teams. And I'm just going to put the rest of the AFC teams I have making the playoffs. That's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, led by Aaron Rodgers. I believe they will be making the playoffs this upcoming season. I believe the Cincinnati Bengals will be making the playoffs this year. 3 AFC North teams are going to be making the playoffs. You heard it here first. And the next team I have making the playoffs are the Denver Broncos. So now we have 3 more NFC teams to choose from to make the playoffs. And I have the Green Bay Packers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Minnesota Vikings making the last 3 playoff spots for the NFC. I'll talk a little bit about these teams. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I have winning the NFC South over the Carolina Panthers, the Falcons, and the Saints. We'll get into those teams later, but that is why the Buccaneers are going to be just a playoff team. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but they're a very good team. They're going to be winning that division. The Minnesota Vikings, I believe, are going to be making it because I believe in J.J. McCarthy. But most importantly, I believe in just that scheme for the Minnesota Vikings. I think whoever they have at QB is going to be able to produce. They have Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and T.J. Hawkinson as the leading wideouts on the team. A solid offensive line, and a pretty solid defense to go with it. And then when looking at the Packers, I just truly believe they're a little bit too talented to be missing the playoffs. Now, I was kind of going back and forth between them and the Bears getting the 3rd spot in the NFC North. I ended up going with the Green Bay Packers just because I do believe Jordan Love, he's actually going to his 6th NFL season, if you guys weren't really aware, because he really has only been starting for 2 years. but he's going to his 6th year in the NFL. I expect him to take a big jump this year. He has to limit his turnovers in order for the Packers to continue to be a great NFL team, but I do believe that the Packers will be making it. And then in regards to the Steelers and Bengals, I truly believe that these teams are just kind of like nasty football teams, hard-nosed football teams. I think Aaron Rodgers and that Mike Tomlin scheme going to have to make the playoffs. I mean, Steelers are guaranteed 9-8 every year anyway. Why not just make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers at QB compared to Russell Wilson and Justin Fields last year? I see no reason for them not to make it, especially with them adding a guy like DK Metcalf to that offense. I really don't see a reason for them to not make it because of how good that defense is, and they made their offense way better than it was last year. I will say I almost picked the Bengals to not make the playoffs once again because of their horrific defense. However, the trio of Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase is just so good that I could not bring myself to make them miss the playoffs once again. I think they're going to make it. Don't know how far they'll go because of their defense, especially if Trey Hendrickson ends up not signing that extension and doesn't play in this upcoming season. If he doesn't play, honestly, they're not gonna make the playoffs at all. But I'm kind of just holding out hope that he will come back and practice and play for the Bengals, and that's why I have them making the playoffs. Now, as far as the AFC side with the just missed the playoffs, I have the New York Jets, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars as the three teams where I think they'll be literally right on the bubble. Those last three spots making the playoffs, I think they're just going to be missing it on the AFC side. Now, on the NFC side for teams I predict to just miss the playoffs are going to be the Carolina Panthers, the Seattle Seahawks, and the San Francisco 49ers. I'm just going to kind of generalize some of these teams. So teams like the Jets, Jaguars, Panthers, and Seahawks, I have finishing second in their division and just barely missing out on the playoffs because there are going to be other teams in other divisions with higher records than them. And as far as the 49ers and the Chargers go, I predict that they'll finish third in their divisions. However, I do believe that they'll be very good teams, or not very good teams, obviously, but good teams enough in 2025 where they'll be right on that bubble just outside the playoffs. Now, I will say I was kind of debating switching the Jets and the Bengals for that last playoff spot because I really think the Bengals defense is that bad that could force them to miss the playoffs once again. And the Jets defense is honestly very, very good. They're young, very talented. They're kind of an elite top 10 defense in the NFL, without a doubt. But I don't know if I believe in Justin Fields and the rest of the offense to produce as much as the Bengals offense will. And that is why I have the Bengals making it and the Jets just missing it. Now, I want to talk about the Jaguars and Panthers really quickly. So I believe that the Panthers will become a more consistent team in 2025. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, obviously. But I think that Bryce Young is going to take another step forward. But I do think that team surrounding him isn't good enough to be making the playoffs. But I think Bryce Young specifically will have a very good season this year. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm actually going to make a TikTok on a hot take I have about Travis Hunter probably tomorrow. It'll be posted as a YouTube short. But I think that the Jaguars and Travis Hunter will be a good team, but once again, not good enough to be making the playoffs. I want to talk really quickly about the Packers, Seahawks, and 49ers. So Seahawks and 49ers, I put down that I have the Seahawks finishing second, the San Francisco 49ers finishing third in that division. However, I was kind of going back and forth between them, and then really just going back and forth between the Packers, Seahawks, and 49ers for who will get that last playoff spot in the NFC. I really think it's a toss-up between all of them. I think you can make a case for each and every single one of those teams. But that is just how I have, the layout right now. I'm sorry, I completely forgot to put the Houston Texans in the playoff team category. Literally just forgot to put them there, but they are a playoff team. They're going to be winning their division. I'm going to go jump down to the bad team tier, and I'm going to put the Raiders in that tier. I'm putting the Browns in that tier. I'm putting the Saints in that tier, and I'm putting the Colts in that tier as well. I really just think these teams are just not built for the bright lights. I think the Raiders, they have good players. They have Ashton Genty. They have Geno Smith at quarterback now. They have solid weapons in Brock Bowers. However, I do believe that they're going to be in one of the hardest divisions. They have one of the hardest schedules. I really don't think the Raiders will be good this year at all. I think the Browns are not going to be great. I don't like that their QB competitions between Joe Flacco and a bunch of bums. The Saints don't have a QB literally. And the Colts, their two options are Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, which is not a good look. And I guess I'll put the rest of these teams in the mid-tier just so you guys could see it on the screen for yourself. We have the Cardinals, the Falcons, the Bears, the Cowboys, the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Giants, and the Tennessee Titans. Now, I think one team that kind of stands out in that mid-tier, not in the bad tier, is the Tennessee Titans. And the reason why I have them in mid and not bad, I believe Cam Ward is being undervalued in the NFL. I think he's going to have a very solid rookie year. I also think they're only going to be mid, but I think that Cam Ward's going to take them from that bad to that mid-tier at the very least. Uh, the Patriots and Dolphins, I know their fans are super, super high on those teams. However, I just don't see them being anything better than mid. They're not going to be better than the Jets, who I think are going to be, right on that bubble of making the playoffs. So I think they're going to be worse than them. The Cowboys and Giants, I think they have very talented players, but like I said, I think they're just like mid teams. They're not going to do too much. They're going to probably finish with like 7, 8 wins this upcoming year. So not great. The Bears, I think, could be maybe the biggest snub of the just missed playoff steer. Obviously, I like that they have Ben Johnson. I like that they have Caleb Williams. They have a good core around him. I just don't see them being, a very, very good team this year. The Falcons, I don't love that team. I'm gonna be honest with you. Michael Penix Jr. I get it, he's good. I like Bijan Robinson. I like Drake London, but I don't see them being better than the Panthers, who I really think have a really good young core, just like the Falcons do. But then they'll be better, and the Falcons can just be kind of mid this year. And then the last team in that mid tier are the Arizona Cardinals. I like Kyler Murray. I like Marvin Harrison Jr. But that's about all I like with the Cardinals. I know that they got Josh Sweat. Then honestly, they do have a pretty solid defense, but that team is just not good enough for me. I think they're just kind of mid. So NFL fans, this is how I rank every single team for the 2025 NFL season. Let me know what you guys agree with, what you disagree with. What was my worst take? What was my best take? Let me know in the comment section down below. And please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more of this daily NFL and Buffalo Bills content. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.